Today I want to talk about a few stories about the super quality movie Train to Busan and explain some meaningful scenes and lines that you might have missed. And by the end of this video, I will tell you about the sequel of Train to Busan, which is supposed to be released next year, 2020. Train to Busan is a high-quality zombie movie with a critical message for society. So this movie has a more lingering significance than zombie movies with only suspenseful stories and production. I will explain several meaningful scenes deliberately implied by the director one by one. Alright, let's take a look at what's hidden inside Train to Busan. There are 5 elements in this movie that you guys could find meaningful and interesting as well. The first, selfishness that makes things worse. The movie satirizes the selfish society through various characters. The main character of the fund manager is doing damage to the majority of individuals by spreading information without considering the individual investors, that is to say, lemmings. And Sang-hwa and his wife didn't even write it, but he just closed the train compartment.
사람이 뛰어오는데 코앞에서 문을 닫아? 돌았냐 이 새끼야?
그거 말 조심해요. 당신만 위험했던 거 아니니까.
Seok-woo's saucy words piss him off.
널 놔. 너내 저쪽으로 한 던져버리라니까 일로 와.
그만해. 다들 겁나니까 그런 거야.
The scene where there is a big company's executive insisting that they should take off the train cars, leaving people behind, and the scene showing selfish people blocking people from entering the train cars because they are afraid that they are going to be dangerous.
이 새끼 감염됐어! 이 새끼 감염됐어! 이 새끼 감염됐다고!
So it's a dramatic showing of a human self-interest that has become more extreme.
이 새끼들 다 쫓아내야 돼!
The second, the journey of being a different person. What I really like most in this movie is the protagonist goes on the journey of being a different person, which means the main character goes through such a transformation. At the beginning, he is all selfish and knows only about himself, telling his little girl, you don't have to be nice in this dangerous situation. You got to look out for yourself. However, by the end, he is changed completely and totally into helping other people.
어떡할까요?
관련 종목 뽑아서 전부 던져.
전부 다요?
어.
그러면 좀 파장이 있을 텐데요. 시장 안정성이란 것도 있고 아무래도 개미들 입장에선 좀.
In Korea, we call individual traders 개미, which means ant in English. But as far as I know, some other countries call them lemmings. So when this movie was shown in the foreign countries, the subtitles were shown as lemming.
김대리,
예.
너 개미 입장까지 생각하면서 일하냐? 전부 매도해 지금 바로.
예.
In this scene, we can know Seok-woo is a very selfish person who doesn't care about lemmings at all. And then, as the situation is getting more and more unstable, he calls one of his acquaintances, a military lieutenant who is busy putting down the riot. Right this scene, can you see the word in the smartphone, 개미들, right? 개미 is ant and 들 means plural, but like I said, this is translated as lemmings. So the person Seok-woo is trying to ask a favor is also classified as one of the lemmings, right?
대전에 군인들 배치됐다는 거 사실이야?
예, 뭐 맞아요. 사 팀장님 대전 오시면은 아마도 일단은 격리되실 겁니다. 죄송해요.
Lieutenant Min is just one of the lemmings to him, but Seok-woo asks him a very urgent favor.
민대희 나 지금 우리 딸이랑 같이 있다. 그럼 나랑 우리 딸만이라도 따로 좀 부탁하자. 어?
아, 저기 팀장님 그게.
민대희 내가 다음에 확실한 건 하나 추천해줄게. 어? 민대희.
Even though Seok-woo registered his acquaintance as a lemming in his phone directory, because he is desperate to survive, he is begging for help with the stock investment. Here we can see the main character's duality.
그러면은 메인 광장으로 나가지 말고요. 동광장 쪽으로 나오세요. 예? 그쪽 애들한테는 제가 따로 얘기해 놓을게요.
그래. 민대희 고맙다. 고마워.
However, as I said earlier, that he goes on the journey of being a different person, the following scene makes him a completely different person, an altruistic person.
아까 통화한 거 다 들었어.
그쪽이랑 쟤만 따로 빼준다고. 나머지 사람들은 전부 격리된다며.
A homeless man overheard Seok-woo's phone call.
아니야 수아나 그냥 상태만
사람들한테
지키고.
말해줘요.
수아나 말 안 해줘도 돼.
말해줘야죠.
신경 쓰지 마. 그냥 각자 알아서 하는 거야.
Even in this situation, the father is teaching selfishness to his daughter.
아빠는 자기밖에 몰라. 그러니까 엄마한테 떠는 거잖아요.
I was deeply impressed when I saw this scene. A father can change after hearing his young daughter's thoughts and words. After this scene, the main character becomes a totally different person. He bravely fights with zombies in order to save the other people as well as his daughter. There are a lot of philosophical underlying things going on in this movie. And I thought that was one of the best parts with actual developed characters who aren't just there to be zombie food. This movie even offers some social commentary. The third, the spirit of a sacrifice for love. What is the key to love? It is the difficult question, but at least in this movie, I think it's the spirit of a sacrifice that tries to protect the loved one at the expense of oneself. Throughout the movie, people just run away from zombies or stop them from coming in, but there are two representative figures who fight zombies to save people, Seok-woo and Sang-hwa, to protect his beloved daughter, Seok-woo, and to save his beloved wife, Sang-hwa. They fight with the zombies together in order to protect the people. By showing that selfishness kills other people and love saves others, the movie Train to Busan is presenting love as a definite solution to selfishness.
윤선! 우리 딸 이름 상원이야. 알았지?
The first, acrimonious criticism of capitalism. In fact, selfishness and capitalism are inseparable because the capitalist market economy itself is a system that is built on selfishness. Personally, I think the reason why this movie shows the extreme selfishness is to criticize capitalism. The rationale is as follows. First of all, this movie set Seok-woo as a fund manager who only knows money. It is the establishment of a conglomerate executive as a vested interest in capitalism, which can be called the ultimate in selfish behavior. We can guess this from this scene.
팀장님, 이거 유선 바이오에서 시작됐대요. 우리가 작전 걸어서 억지로 살려낸 그 유선 바이오요.
Zombie-infested Yusun Biotech, which is a poor and weak company, has been set up as a causal relationship between capitalism and zombie by running operational stock in defiance of the damage to the lemming.
팀장님, 이 난리가 난 거랑 우리랑 상관없는 거죠? 네? 우리 그냥 시키는 대로 하는 사람들이잖아요.
If this movie's selfishness is talking about the problem of a capitalist competition system, then Train to Busan is a movie that criticizes selfishness among people in the narrow perspective and social problems in the wide perspective. The fifth, the implication of the ending. A pregnant woman and a little girl survive at the expense of Seok-woo and Sang-hwa. Both Seok-woo and Sang-hwa are fathers.
너 네 딸이랑 많이 못 놀아주지 바빠서.
The setting that these two fathers succeed in protecting their families is to show the message that we must overcome the problems of our society through love with a spirit of sacrifice.
네 딸이 좀 더 크면 네가 왜 그렇게 기를 쓰고 사는지 알게 되지 않겠냐.
And the survivors are a pregnant woman and a child. They are both the people who will live in the future. The reason why these people survive is to send a message that future generations should not be allowed to live in this grim society. All right, to sum up, the older generation must defend the future generation from the troubled society through sacrifice.
아빠들은 원래 맨날 욕 먹고 인정 못 받고 그래도 뭐 희생하고 사는 거지 뭐 그래?
The story of a survivor from zombies in a small train car is fascinating, but I think the implications of the movie are greater than that. Whether you have not seen this movie or you are determined to see it again, I'm sure it will be more fun to watch the movie thinking about these 5 elements of the movie. The Korean Peninsula, the sequel to Train to Busan, began filming on June 24th this year. The release is scheduled for 2020 with the setting 4 years after previous film. The main characters were cast as Kang Dong-won, Lee Jung-hyun, Lee, Kwon Hae-hyo, Kim Min-jae, and Gu Kyo-hwan. The title has become Peninsula, symbolizing the Korean Peninsula, so I guess it is the movie that contains the geographical problems of our country and the international situation and political factors. These days, zombie movies are oversaturated, but Train to Busan shows you that you can have a lot of success if you make good zombie movies. Let's look forward to the success of Peninsula, the sequel of Train to Busan. Okay, we have a slight review of Train to Busan. Next video will show you how to learn Korean language as well as Korean culture through scenery of Train to Busan, which means all you guys who are interested in learning Korean culture or language can learn them easily with K-movies. That doesn't seem to be boring, right? Alright, if you liked this video, I hope you will pound like button, and also you'd better pound subscribe button in order to know when the subsequent videos will show up. Okay, I'll see you next time.